Hi everyone, that was loud. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Bryony and I'm one half the Indecisive Readers. How much are you gonna wobble, Stan? Because we're gonna have a fight if you keep doing that. Today's video is a very rosy cheeked book haul. I haven't done one of these since about February, mostly because I'm like always on a low-key book buying ban. I usually try and use my library, and I have so many books from the library constantly on the go, and I also buy a lot of ebooks and so forget that I am actually spending money because they're only 99p. But yeah, I didn't think I'd brought many physical books for a while, but now they're all on the floor, I think there might be a few. So there is going to be no order to this whatsoever. It's mostly just going to be a case of which one I can pick up first. Let's go on. The first two I got, I think I actually brought the day after I filmed the first book haul, and that's just because I saw them cheaper on eBay than I saw them in the shop. I tend to buy a lot of my books online, but I tend not to buy any of them from Amazon because I just dislike Amazon. I dislike Jeff Bezos, and is that his name? And I dislike the fact that the authors don't get any money from Amazon. The only time I really buy from Amazon are Kindle books. I mostly get them from eBay. I'd like to use charity shops again, but they're shut. Anyway, the first one I got, and then the corresponding one, was The Sky Atlas and The Phantom Atlas by Edward Brooke-Hitching. This I saw in foils in London, and it's basically the story of the sky, and it's got lots of like illustrations and things, and I think it's like how we've all perceived the sky over time, and I just thought it looked really pretty. They put it out on a really nice display with like all galaxy display things, and then I saw that this one was also available, and it's I think basically how maps have been wrong over time, but when I first saw it, I thought it was going to be like different maps in books, but I was wrong. So I'm not hugely in a rush to read this one. I'm more in a rush to read this one, but I will probably just pick them up as and when, or they may just be on my shelf. That's not a good way to start a book haul off, is it? I will probably never read these books, but never mind. Next, in a similar vein, is the Dictionary of Mythology, an A to Z of themes, legends and heroes. I don't know who this is written by, but it's published by Arcturus. And it's literally, as it says, it's literally just a dictionary with everything from various myths. So it's got all the different gods. So Ajax, they've got different monsters. They've got the 9 worthies. Niobe. But it's just, it covers all sorts of different mythologies, and as I quite like a mythology based story, I read along with the Myth Take Reads book club, so this just seemed really cool. Sam actually got it for me because I was upset that I didn't have a job. Basically I got really sad, and I think he felt bad that he was too far away, so he sent me a book instead. So yeah, again, this isn't one, it's such a bad start. This isn't one I'm going to pick up and read because it is a dictionary, but hopefully I will refer to it as and when I need to, but the only problem is it's kind of buried underneath stuff, so it doesn't happen in a hurry. Talking of ones I have from eBay, I have Too Much Hair. What's going on there? Hi, cat. Talking of books I brought from eBay because in this case, it isn't that I don't want to support the Amazon. In this case, it's not that I don't want to support Amazon, it's I don't want to support the author, because they are the illustrated Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban and the Goblet of Fire and Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. These are the illustrated versions of all of them. I have personally the illustrated editions of the first 2, and my mum loves the books, but I don't anymore. I think that's the easiest way to say it. I really enjoyed the books when I was little. I have, I think, more of an attachment to the audiobooks than the books, but J.K. Rowling is the worst and I don't really care about reading the books anymore. But it's such a shame because I really wanted to read the illustrated ones because they're just so well done. But I brought them for my mum from eBay, so I didn't have to give J.K. Rowling any more money, and I might pick them up, but I have other books by authors I care about more that I want to read. So yeah, how many books now is that I'm not planning on reading? Who knows? Speaking of presents for people, seen as those were presents for my mum, I have also brought The Switch by Beth O'Leary. I don't physically have because I brought it for my nan, because it's about a young girl who's in her like 20s and her nan who's in her 80s, and they swap lives for a day, and the girl works in London for a day, for a month. The girl works in London and needs a break from her job, and the nan lives in the countryside and wants to fall in love, and they swap places, and it's really cute, and it's by the author of The Flat Share, which is like my favourite book ever, and I love my nan, she's like my best friend, and so when I heard about this I was like, I need to buy it for her, so I did, and she hasn't read it yet, but it's there, and it makes me happy that she might like enjoy it. It's just as simple as. I have also brought another present for Sam. I brought this quite recently because because I just never buy him stuff. I do sometimes, maybe. I haven't brought him a book before. I thought I'd treat him to a book, so I brought him a couple of books. The first of which was Aurora Burning by Amie Kaufman and J. Kristoff. This was the sequel to Aurora Rising, a book that he really enjoyed but I didn't love so much. It's about a team of ragtag heroes who aren't who you choose to save the world but are the only ones who are going to do it. And I thought it was alright. Sam, yeah, really enjoyed it. It was a lot of things that he liked in books. And so I brought him the sequel thinking he's going to enjoy this. And you know what? He rated it 0 stars. He absolutely hated it. I will link his review of it down below because it made me laugh. But he was so disappointed by it. So good purchase. And I'm going to borrow it from the library so we can then discuss it, because we can't share books at the moment because we're too far away. I also brought Sam The Deck of Omens by Kristen Lynn Herman. This is the sequel to The Devouring Grey, which is a book he read last year, and I remember reading really quickly, and he didn't know that there was a sequel, so I thought let's buy it for him too. I have since read this, and so we'll be stealing that again, but it's about a town in America, I want to say. Town in America where there are these 4 founding families that protect the town, and they've all got magical powers that help protect it in a certain way, and a new member of one of the families is recently come into the world, and it's very Stranger Things, and I actually really enjoyed it. I don't know what he thought of the sequel. I can't remember, but I brought it. No. You can't climb up there. You can go up there. What other ones have I got? I have only 2 charity book buys because I wanted to buy some, but then charity shops shut, and so I'm really looking forward to them opening up again. The first one I brought was The Essex Serpent by Sarah Perry. I think I have a cat hair stuck to my face now. I don't know what it's about. I'm going to read you the blurb. London, 1893. When Cora Seaborn's husband dies, she steps into her new life as a widow with as much relief as sadness. Her marriage was not a happy one, and she never suited the role of society wife. Accompanied by her son Francis, a curious, obsessive boy, she leaves town for Essex, where she hopes fresh air and open space will provide the refuge they need. When they take lodgings in Colchester, rumours reach them from further up the estuary that the mythical Essex Serpent, once said to roam the marshes claiming human lives, has returned to the coastal parish of Aldwinter. Cora, a keen amateur naturalist with no patience for religion or superstitious, is immediately enthralled, convinced that the local people think is a magical beast may be a previously undiscovered species. As she sets out on its trail, she's introduced to William Ransom, Baldwinter's vicar. Like Cora, Will is deeply suspicious of the rumours that he thinks they are founded, on moral panic, a flight from real faith. As he tries to calm his parishioners, he and Cora strike up an intense relationship, and though they agree on absolutely nothing, they find themselves inexorably drawn together and torn apart, eventually changing each other's lives in ways entirely unexpected. I'm torn about this because at first I was thinking, oh my god, that's so shiny, I'm so sorry. At first I thought that sounded really interesting, like kind of fantasy, mythical, weird, and then there's a romance, and now I'm less sure. But it was only £1 or £2 from the charity shop, so I can't go wrong. I basically picked it up because I was with Sam and he said that sold well because he works in a bookshop. Speaking of books that Sam said sold well in a charity shop, the second one I have is Dear Mrs. Bird by... I don't know. I don't physically have it, I can't check. But I don't physically have it because I gave this to my nan. This is the first one she read of mine. And she was like, oh, I see why you really enjoyed it. But I'm like, I haven't actually read it yet. But it's about a girl who works in London who wants to work in publishing or journalism, I think, during World War II. And ends up working in like an agony aunt kind of column and finds refuge in it, maybe? I don't know, but my nan said it was lovely and I'm really looking forward to reading it once I get it back. My cousin currently has it, but I also got that for £1 because Sam said it sold well. No order. Next, I have picked up The Corset by Laura Purcell. This I bought from my local bookshop when it was shutting down because I wanted to buy a final book from them. So it's this. It's another shiny one. And it's got something to do with a ghost, but I can't remember what she's called. But the ghost that was in The Pale Dreamer. I'm going to read the blurb again. When Dorothea's charitable work leads her to Oakgate Prison, she finds herself drawn to Ruth, a teenage seamstress and self-confessed murderess who nurses a dark and uncanny secret, a secret that is leading her straight to the gallows. As Ruth reveals her disturbing past to Dorothea, the fates of these two women entwine, and with every revelation a new layer of doubt is cast. Can Ruth be trusted? Is she mad or a murderer? This sounds really interesting. Why have I not picked this up? I haven't picked it up because I haven't had time, but this sounds so good. I'm really looking forward to reading this now. Okay, moving it on my TBR I am. If you've read it, please let me know because I want to hear opinions now. Where should we go next? We're on a kind of historical fiction. Don't look at me like that. Although this isn't historical fiction, but anyway. The next one I have to talk about is Matilda, Empress Queen Warrior by Catherine Hanley. I have read this one. Woo! Not only am I not reading this, I'm not putting it off. I don't know. I read it. It was really good. I rated it 4.5 stars. I have annotated it. It was a really interesting book. Basically, it's a non-fiction book about the queen. Well, she wasn't a queen. About an empress called Matilda who wasn't a queen because she wasn't a man, and she should have been queen in a time when women were just wives. And it's such an interesting story because she so easily could have been queen, and the women in this kind of society are just as powerful as the men and do all the work, and she's like fighting this battle, and in the end she ends up fighting it for her son because she knows she will never rule. And it was just so interesting. I love it, and I would really recommend you all pick it up because I'm not a big non-fiction person, but I read through this really quickly. Next is, oh, there's a note in there. Where'd it go? Well, next in my book haul is Elias Grace by Margaret Atwood, and my friend gave me this because she couldn't get into it. She got 27 pages into it, and it's quite a chunky book. And I watched the Netflix show, but I can't remember what it was about. I think the girl, again, was maybe a murderer, but they weren't sure, or she was a witch or something, and maybe haunted. And I really enjoyed it, so I'm looking forward to reading this. I haven't read anything by Margaret Atwood other than The Handmaid's Tale, and that I couldn't entirely get into because I was reading it for class, and I think I was just like, I want to read it, but I don't know if I want to read it now, and so I didn't love it as much as I should have done, but I did really enjoy it and I do want to read more stuff by her, so I'm excited to have this one to read. Another book I have recently borrowed from someone is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid. I say recently borrowed, but I think I borrowed it before lockdown, so, well, I definitely borrowed it before lockdown, so it's definitely not a new borrow. This is about a black woman in her 20s who is approached by a security guard when she's babysitting a white child who doesn't believe that this child is hers and basically believes she's kidnapped the child, and then I think it's about the repercussions she faces or how she has to reassess kind of her standing in the world, how obviously being black you're kind of always judged a bit, but how it suddenly changes how you see the world. And I haven't read far, I've read 20 pages, I've read one chapter, and I'm hoping to pick it up this month because I'm trying to read more books by black authors, and obviously I've got this one, I might as well read it. And yeah, the person I borrowed it from though wasn't like hugely a fan of it, so that's not making me want to rush to pick it up, but it's also because it's contemporary and I don't usually read contemporaries, but I'm trying to go in with open eyes. But back in March I went to a talk by Holly Bourne about why children's literature is important. I went with Sam, and when we went there they were giving out free copies of The Places I've Cried in Public. Now I do already have a copy, so I should really do a giveaway, but I want to keep my other copy because it's got the blue sprayed edges, but this one's purple, but this one's also signed and no one else is called Brownie, so obviously I couldn't give this away, so I might do a giveaway. But anyway, this is about a young adult girl who has recently left a relationship that she comes to realise was emotionally abusive, and she basically traces back through the places she's cried in public and works out why this relationship wasn't as beautiful and golden as she thought it was in the first place. It's a really interesting, powerful book, and it's such an important book that is available for young adults, and so I'd really recommend reading this because not only is it important for young adults, it's important for everyone to read, because there are people who are in their adulthood 30s, 40s, 50s who don't know that they're in an emotionally abusive relationship, and a book like this makes people realise it, and it's a bit more accessible, but also it doesn't patronise, and it's so good. Another young adult, I suppose it's technically classed as young adult, book I haven't bought recently but rediscovered is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I have heard about this everywhere but have never read it, but I knew I'd brought it for my dad like 3 years ago. No, probably before I went to uni, maybe like 5 years ago, and then I started hearing about it all the time and I was like, oh, I'd like to read that. How many chapter ones are there? There's so many different chapter ones. That's confusing. But yeah, I found it in a box and was like, I'll be taking that. So technically it's a book haul. I'm going to read the blurb because I don't know what it's about. I've just seen the cover everywhere. Kel is one of the last travellers, magicians with the rare ability to travel between parallel universes connected by one magical city. There's Grey London, without magic and ruled by the Mad King George III. Red London, where magic is reversed and where Kel was raised alongside the heir to the Empire. White London, where people fight to control the remaining magic and magic fights back. And once there was Black London. So yeah, I'm just mostly excited because everyone's read this, so I'm looking forward to reading it too. A couple of books, should we do those? I suppose they're YA. So I was subscribed to Illumicrate, so I have Havenfall by Sarah Holland. This was the March? This was a box by Illumicrate and don't know what it's about. Maddie Morrow knows that Havenfall is more than it seems. Beneath the beautiful sprawling inn lie the hidden gateways to 3 ancient realms. Maddie's destiny is here, rooted in her family's promise to protect the fragile alliance between the worlds. But when a brutal murder shatters the peace and someone she loves stands accused, Maddie must step forward to protect the place and the people she cares for most. Her safe haven will never be the same again. It's not one that I'm like in a rush to read, but also it's not huge, so I feel like I could read it quickly, and maybe I should just put it on a TBR to kind of finish with it, because it looks like it's literally only just 300 pages. But yeah, if you've read it, let me know that it's good. Don't tell me if it's bad, because that won't encourage me to read it. So, like I said, I was subscribed to Illumicrate. Now I am subscribed to Fairy Loot. So, the first Fairy Loot books I got was the May one, and that was, or the book from that was, Girl Serpent Thorn by Melissa Bashardus. I should have looked that up. And this is a mythology inspired book. I can't remember what it's based on, but I'm going to read it. Maybe it's like Sleeping Beauty. It's Persian mythology, but something's telling me Sleeping Beauty and I don't know why. There was and there was not, as all stories begin, a princess cursed to be poisonous to the touch. But for Soraya, who has lived her life hidden away from everyone apart from her family, safe only in her gardens, it's not just a story. As the day of her twin brother's wedding approaches, Soraya must decide if she's willing to step outside of the shadows for the first time. Below in the dungeon is a demon who holds knowledge that she craves, the answer to her freedom, and above is a young man who isn't afraid of her, whose eyes linger not with fear but with an understanding of who she is beneath the poison. I also think it might be LGBTQ+, or have some rap. But anyway, I'm really excited to read it. I should have probably read it by now because I don't think it comes out until Monday, but I do not have time to put it on my TBR. But it sounds really, this is short as well. It sounds really interesting. It sounds like it should be rich and amazing, and I love a mythology inspired book, and so yeah, I'm super excited to get to this hopefully sometime soon. Another reason I have got a couple of books recently is the Believathon, so I'm going to get my Believathon books. Right, the first two are the books in the Pages & Co series, like 1 and 2, and they are about a girl called Tilly who is a book wanderer, and basically they are people who can read themselves into books, so can go and explore the world they're reading about and can sometimes read people out of books. That's not quite right. That sounds like ink death spell. Heart? Ink heart. Basically some characters can come and visit them in the world, and it's a really cute, really whimsical middle grade. I have read this one. I have yet to read this one. I've rated this one 4.5 stars. It was like a warm hug. As a bookworm, it was like a warm hug. It's everything you want to happen in a book. You like dream of going to visit these books, and she actually does it, and it's just not fair. I want to do that. The other middle grade I brought was The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. I rated this one 5 stars. It was so good. I loved it. It was a surprise, but it was really good. It's about this girl, it's about this witch who every year takes a child who's been like sacrificed, and she takes them from where they've been sacrificed across like the forest, and every year she feeds them starlight, but she accidentally feeds this girl the moon, and because she feeds her the moon she gets magical powers, so she decides to keep her. And it's a really like rich world, because I didn't realize how many different kind of strands of the story would go into making this one, and there were just so many, and it really surprised me. And the family in it were really cute. Like, there was the witch, there was this swamp monster, there was a dragon that thought it was huge and it was actually the size of like a chihuahua but flying, and it was so good. I really enjoyed it. There were like parts where I was tearing up. I was really shocked by some parts. That was the win. And yeah, I'd really recommend reading it. It was super good. One that wasn't so super good, but could have been alright. Some people liked it. I just didn't love it. Was The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. This is the prequel to the Hunger Games book, which is a book series in which children are sent into an arena to fight to the death. Now in this one, in the prequel, this is set 64 years before the original series, and it is centred around Coriolanus Snow, who is President Snow in the original trilogy. He is a young boy in this. He is a mentor to the games when they are barely starting up, and you know what, it was interesting. I did enjoy learning more about the world. I did enjoy learning more about the characters and the games, but it's a hefty book and it took a long time, and I just kind of wanted to read it. I wasn't as thrilled about reading it. I wasn't massively excited, and it just kind of let me down. But I feel like I'd reread it and like it more on a reread. But yeah, worth saying, it was good but not great, and I have brought it. I also brought this one because it has the like end pages and the snake. Another book I was super excited to buy and actually haven't read yet, so me saying that implies that I was disappointed. I haven't read it yet. I expect it to be amazing. It's The Empire of Gold by S.A. Chakraborty. This is the third book in the David trilogy, which is a series about a girl called Nari who lives in 18th century Cairo but accidentally summons a warrior djinn. And is he a warrior djinn? I think so. And ends up going on like a magical quest to escape some other magical beings, and it's just so good. This series always shocks me. It's so rich and the world building is immense. The characters are amazing, and the last one ended on like a cliffhanger, and I should pick this up to read it, but like I'm also frightened to pick it up to read it because everyone says they cry and it hurts, and I don't want that to happen to me, but also I'm so excited to read it, so I don't know. Another series of books I am really excited to read, I do have the box set here, are the Broken Earth series by N.K. Jemisin, the first one of which is the 5th season. I'm so excited to read this. I'm reading this as part of Ashley at a Frolic Through Fiction's Patreon book club, and I've only heard good things about it, so I thought why not buy the box set when it was, well, it wasn't cheaper than buying one book obviously, but it was about £21 to buy the box set when each one is about £8 or £9, so I thought I'm probably gonna like it. I'm just gonna go all in and buy all of them. Let's drink it out. I only want the first one. It's also had a lot of rave reviews and has won a lot of awards. What does the blurb say? This is the way the world ends for the last time. It starts with a great red rift across the heart of the world's soul. It starts with a great red rift across the heart of the world's soul continent, spewing ash that blots. Across the heart of the world's soul continent, spewing ash that blots out the sun. It starts with death, with a murdered son and a missing daughter. It starts with betrayal and a long dormant. It starts with betrayal and long dormant wounds rising up to fester. This is the stillness, a land long familiar with catastrophe, where the power of the earth is wielded as a weapon and where there is no mercy. I'm also reading this for another book club, actually, for like a sci-fi fantasy based book club. So I'm reading it this month and really want to get to it soon. It just is got so many good things about it, and I'm just really excited. The author is Black as well, so that's quite good to have more books by Black authors because I'm just missing them on my shelf. I believe there is a lot of LGBTQ plus rep in this series. I don't know where exactly, but we'll be reading it soon, so we'll be able to let you know shortly. I also have, speaking of rep, We Set the Dark on Fire by Taylor K. Magia. I'm going to read you the blurb because I've tried to guessed before and I was wrong. At the Medio School for Girls, distinguished young women are trained for one of two roles in their polarised society. Depending on her specialisation, a graduate will one day run her husband's household or raise his children, but both wives are promised a life of comfort and luxury, far from the frequent political uprising of the lower class. I'm going to finish it because otherwise I'll be reading it forever, but I believe it follows one girl who is trained to be one of the wives and falls in love with the other wife, but is also meant to be a rebel, so probably isn't meant to be getting close to these people, but it's just always sounded really interesting to me. And when I was buying, what was I buying? Oh, I was buying Matilda. I just wanted another one to buy as well because I had no self-control. I also have a couple of books that haven't turned up. I don't think I've missed any other ones. I ordered Queen of Coin and Whispers by Helen Corcoran about 6 months ago. I ordered it from Book Depository, like pre-ordered it, and then I was one of the orders that got cancelled, so then I ordered it through Amazon and I was like, I didn't really want to, but I don't know who else it's being sold through. And then I saw that Forbidden Planet were doing signed copies, so I cancelled my order through Amazon and reordered it through Forbidden Planet, but it still hasn't turned up and it's over a month and I'm really really annoyed. But she contacted me the other day and said you should chase that up because they should be with you by now. So I have emailed them, I have sent them a snotty email, and I hope that's going to turn up soon. Basically it's about a queen and her spy master, and it's political and fantastical, and it's meant to be, if you enjoyed Priory, read this. And I don't know a lot more other than it's gay and I want to read it. The final one I'm going to talk about, I don't think I've got any more that I could talk about. I have the Fairy Loot one that should be coming out soon, but I don't know when that is. The other one I have pre-ordered is A Song of Wraiths and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown. This is again a fantasy by a black author, and I've pre-ordered the Fairy Loot exclusive edition, so with green sprayed edges, and it's about a princess who needs to kill a king or have a king's beating heart, and a guy who needs to kill the princess, and it's obviously going to be an enemies to lovers romance. I don't usually read them, but I've only heard good things about it, and the cover looks amazing and I kind of get sold on that things alone. So yeah, I'm really excited to read that. Let's see if I can hold up all my books. I mean, I know I can't because these ones alone are really heavy. Hang on, maybe I should pause this, bear with. I'm coming back in just to say for the sake of this, I'm hurting myself. I've pulled out many hairs and this just isn't comfortable. I think I might die when I'm trying to move back. Oh god. I can't show you them all, there's no way I'm going to move now. Hang on. I can't move forward now, this is uncomfortable. Who thought this was a good idea? No way I'm going to pick all these up. But there we go. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 24 here, and there's not even all of them. To be fair, this is... I forgot one. Oh well, whilst we're here, let's do this one. So, the book I failed to mention was Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. This is the sequel to Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and it's about a girl who decides to investigate a local murder, I think, as part of her EPQ, which is the final essay you do in college or the UK sixth form. And I saw this was half price in Asda, and I have the first one on my Kindle, and I really want to read it and I have high hopes for it, so I just thought, why not buy the sequel whilst it's on offer? What are you doing on that bed? That's not your bed. Too many books. I obviously need to split up these book hauls rather than do them all in one. I thought do them all in one, it would be better, but obviously not. Okay, I'm going to miss the bottom book. Oh no. So I'm going to check out whilst I'm still under this pile of books. If you enjoyed this video, if there are any books you think I need to read, if there are any books you disagree with my opinion that I've already read, please let me know in the comments. Give it a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!